The classroom was huge. It had to be, because students from 20 different worlds sat inside it. Some were small, like the who barely reached 3 feet tall. Others were giants, like the who needed reinforced chairs to hold their massive bodies. The walls were white and clean, with holographic displays floating in the air above each desk. Sat in the middle row. She was human, which made her average height compared to most species here at the Galactic Military Academy. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore the standard cadet uniform, gray and blue with the Academy symbol on the shoulder. Around her, aliens of every shape and color filled the seats. Some had scales, some had fur, and some had skin that seemed to glow. Professor stood at the front of the room. Which meant he looked like someone had crossed a beetle with a warrior. His body was covered in dark green armor plating that was natural, not worn. He had 4 arms, each ending in sharp claws that clicked when he moved them. His eyes were compound, like an insect's, reflecting the light in strange ways. "Today we discuss combat evolution," the professor said. His voice was deep and rumbled like rocks falling. "Every species in this galaxy developed ways to fight, ways to survive. Let me show you." He touched a control pad on his desk. The holographic display in the center of the room came to life. It showed a creature that looked like a bear mixed with a lizard. Its arms ended in curved claws that glowed with energy. The professor continued. "They evolved energy claws. These claws can cut through steel. They are born with weapons built into their bodies." The hologram changed. Now it showed an insect-like being with blade-like arms. Though their forearms are natural blades, sharp as any sword, faster than any manufactured weapon. Another change. A massive creature with a shell and huge mandibles appeared. The crushing power. Their jaws can break stone. Their strength is legendary. Watched quietly. She had seen all these species before. The academy was full of them. But she noticed something as the professor went through example after example. Every species had something natural. Something they were born with that made them dangerous. "Notice the pattern," Professor said. He gestured with 2 of his 4 arms. "Every sentient species evolved with natural weapons. Claws, venom, armor, strength. This is how life survives. This is how intelligence develops. You must be able to defend yourself to live long enough to become civilized." The hologram changed one more time. Now it showed a human, just a regular human standing alone on the display. No claws, no armor, no fangs or venom or energy weapons growing from the body. "Except one species," the professor said. There was something in his voice, not quite mockery but close, pity maybe. "Humans are unique in the galaxy. They are the only sentient species that evolved without natural weapons. Nothing. No claws, no venom, no armor plating, just soft skin and weak nails." Some of the alien students turned to look at the humans in the class. There were only 3. A male cadet named who sat 2 rows behind her, and another female named near the back. Felt the eyes on her but kept her face calm. "Humans require tools for everything," Professor continued. "They cannot hunt without weapons. They cannot fight without weapons. Strip away their technology and they become helpless. They are prey animals who got lucky enough to develop intelligence before something ate them all." A few aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Others just stared at the humans with what looked like sympathy. Poor humans, their faces seemed to say. Born defenseless. "This is why humans always carry weapons," the professor said. "They have no choice. A can fight with empty hands because their hands are weapons. A can defend itself with nothing but its body. But a human," he clicked his claws together, "a human without tools is just meat." Felt something hot rise in her chest. Not anger exactly, more like disappointment. The professor was smart. He taught at the best military academy in the galaxy. But he was wrong, very wrong. Her hand went up, slowly, calmly. She did not wave it or make noise. She just raised it and waited. Professor stopped talking, his compound eyes focused on her. Yes, cadet, he checked his cadet. Permission to speak, Professor. Her voice was quiet but clear. Granted. Stood up. Around her, students shifted to see her better. She was small compared to most of them. Just 5.5 feet tall, slim build, nothing impressive to look at. I would like to challenge your assessment, sir, she said. The room went very quiet. Challenging a professor was allowed, but not common, especially for a first-year cadet, especially for a human who had just been called defenseless prey. Professor's mandibles clicked. Challenge it how, cadet? You said humans cannot fight without weapons, that we are helpless without tools. Kept her voice respectful but firm. I disagree, sir. You disagree with observed fact. The professor's tone was not angry, more curious. Humans have no claws, this is fact. No venom, no natural armor, no fangs worth mentioning. These are all facts. What exactly do you disagree with? The conclusion, sir. Yes, we lack those things, but that does not make us helpless. A student made a rumbling sound that was definitely laughter. Ignored it. Interesting, Professor said. He crossed two of his arms. Tell me, cadet, have you ever fought a warrior? Have you faced in combat, without weapons? No, sir. Then your disagreement is theoretical, based on hope rather than reality. It could be practical, sir, if you allow it. The professor tilted his head. You want to demonstrate? Yes, sir. Now the room was completely silent. Every student stared at, even and looked shocked. Professor was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. Very well, cadet. I admire courage, even foolish courage. We will arrange a demonstration. You will face a combat-trained alien student. No weapons for either side. We will see if humans are truly as helpless as biology suggests. Thank you, sir. Do not thank me yet, the professor said. His mandibles clicked again. Class dismissed. Cadet, remain behind. We have details to discuss. The other students filed out, talking excitedly. This was big news. A human challenging the professor's teaching. A demonstration fight. The academy would be talking about nothing else. Caught's eye as he left. He looked worried, looked terrified. Just stood calmly, waiting for the room to empty. She had started something now, something that could not be taken back, but she was not worried. The professor was wrong, and tomorrow she would prove it. The combat arena was packed. Word had spread through the academy like fire. A human was going to fight an alien in the demonstration ring. No weapons, just bodies. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. The arena was circular, about 50 feet across. The floor was padded but firm, designed to handle combat from any species. Above, bright lights made everything clear. Viewing screens floated around the upper levels so everyone could see details. The stands were full. Students from every species crowded together, talking excitedly. Stood in the waiting room under the arena. She wore simple combat clothes now. Black pants, black sleeveless shirt, bare feet. Her hair was braided tight against her head. She stretched slowly, breathing deep and even. The door opened, rushed in looking worried. Are you crazy? Asked. She was shorter than with round face and worried eyes. Do you know who you are fighting? No, said calmly, still stretching. The professor did not tell me. Almost shouted. Of the warrior caste, he has won 17 arena matches. 17, his forearms are literally blades. Touched her toes, holding the stretch. I know what look like. This is insane, you could die. Even with safety protocols, you could get hurt badly. Grabs shoulder. It is not too late, you can withdraw, say you were wrong. No one will blame you. I will not withdraw, straightened up. She looked at her friend. Trust me, please. How can I trust this? You are human, we do not have weapons. The door opened again, came in. He was tall for a human with broad shoulders and calm face. He carried a water bottle. She will be fine, he said quietly. How do you know? Demanded. Because I know where she is from. Handed the water, she drank. Grew up on New Colony, did you know that? Shook her head. New keeps the old ways, traditional training. She has been practicing since she was 5 years old. Practicing what? Fighting, said simply. She handed back the water. Taekwondo, Hapkido, Thai. My grandmother taught me first, then masters at the colony school. Stared, but those are sports, games. This is real combat against a species with blade arms. They are not just sports, said. They are fighting systems, developed over thousands of years, tested in real combat, refined, improved. Earth has hundreds of martial arts, maybe thousands, all designed for humans to fight without weapons. But against aliens with natural weapons. A weapon is a weapon, said. She rolled her shoulders. Blade, arm, or metal sword, the principles are the same. Do not be where the blade is. Control the weapon, control the body. End the fight. An announcement echoed through the room. Combatants to the arena floor, 5 minutes. Walked to the door, grabbed her arm one more time. Please be careful. Smiled, it was the first smile I'd seen from her. I will. The arena erupted with noise when walked out. Some cheered, some booed, most just talked excitedly. She walked to the center of the ring, bare feet silent on the padded floor. Professor stood at the edge, now acting as referee. His 4 arms were crossed. Cadet, you understand the rules. Yes, sir. Fight until submission or incapacitation. No killing strikes. Safety barriers active. Correct. The professor looked at her carefully. You may withdraw now. No shame in recognizing reality. I am ready, sir. The other door opened, entered. He was impressive, 7 feet tall with a body that looked like green and brown metal plating. His legs were bent backwards like a grasshopper, but it was his arms that drew the eye. From elbow to hand they were solid blades, natural bone grown sharp as razors, gleaming under the lights. He had 4 fingers on each hand, but they were small. The blade was the weapon. Walked to the center. He looked down at. His eyes were multifaceted, insect-like, unreadable. I will try not to hurt you badly, he said. His voice was clicking and high. But you challenged. I will not hold back. I do not want you to, said. Professor raised one arm. Combat begins in 3, 2, 1, begin. Moved fast, incredibly fast. His blade arm came down in a strike that would have split shoulder. But was not there. She slipped to the side just inches away from the blade. Her movement was smooth like water. Struck again, horizontal this time, ducked under it. The crowd gasped. She was so close to the blades. One mistake and she would be cut. Pressed forward. He struck 3 times, fast combinations. Down, up, across. Moved through the attacks like a dancer. She did not try to block the blades. That would be stupid. She just was not where they went. Stand still, clicked in frustration. He jumped forward with a double strike. Dropped low, spinning on one leg. Her other leg swept out. It hits backwards, bent legs right at the joint. He stumbled, off balance for just a second. That was enough. Moved inside his reach. Too close for him to use his blade arms effectively. Her elbow struck up into where his throat would be on a human. It was a nerve cluster. His head snapped back. She was already moving again behind him now. Her leg kicked the back of his knee joint. He dropped down. Before he could recover, his arm wrapped around his neck area. Not choking, did not breathe the same way, but controlling his head, his balance. Her other hand grabbed one of his blade arms at the joint where it was not sharp. She twisted, not to break it, but to lock it. Could not move without dislocating his own shoulder. He tried to stand. His leg hooked his, keeping him down. He tried to swing his free blade arm back at her. She shifted her position, using his own head to block his blade from reaching her. Every move he made, she countered. Always controlling, always adjusting. Yield, she said quietly, or I will have to hurt you. Struggled for 5 more seconds, then he went still. I yield. released him immediately and stepped back. The arena was completely silent. Stood up slowly. He looked at his blade arms as if they had betrayed him. Then he looked at. How? He asked simply. Training, she said. Technique. You are faster and stronger. Your blades are better weapons than my hands, but I have been learning how to fight since I was a child. How to move. How to use balance and leverage. How to control an opponent. Professor walked onto the mat. For a long time he said nothing. Around them the crowd began to make noise, shocked conversations, some cheers, a lot of confused chatter. I was wrong, the professor said finally. His voice was quiet but clear. I have never, he paused, I have never seen a species weaponize their own body so completely through pure training. No natural weapons, just technique. Bowed respectfully. You were not wrong about what we lack, sir. You were only wrong about whether that makes us helpless. The professor looked at his four clawed hands, then at plain human hands. Class dismissed, he said. I need to revise my lecture materials, substantially. As walked off the arena floor and met her at the door, grabbed her in a fierce hug. That was amazing, whispered. I have never seen anything like that. Around them, alien students stared at with new eyes. Not pity anymore, something else. Respect, curiosity, maybe a little fear. The human without weapons had just beaten a warrior with blade arms, and she had made it look easy. Word would spread. This was just the beginning. The academy cafeteria was always loud during meal times, but today it was louder than usual. Everyone was talking about the fight, about how a human had defeated a warrior without weapons, about what it meant. Sat at a table with other human cadets had joined them too. A quiet male student from the engineering track who studied communications from the medical program. They were 7 humans out of 3,000 students at the academy. Everyone keeps staring at us, said. She was small even for a human, with nervous hands that kept adjusting her glasses. Let them stare, said, eating his rice. Maybe now they will stop treating us like we are fragile. Across the cafeteria, a student approached nervously. She was barely 3 feet tall with blue fur and huge eyes. She stopped at their table, wringing her small hands. Excuse me, she squeaked. Can I ask question? Of course, said, smiling to put her at ease. Is it true, humans all know how to fight like you? Not all, admitted, but many learn. Fighting skills are common in human culture. Why? The looked confused. If you have no natural weapons, why would you practice fighting? We have venom. If I am attacked, I bite. It is natural, but you have to learn. Thought about how to explain. Humans had to learn everything. We had no venom, no claws, no armor, so we developed techniques, ways to fight that do not need natural weapons, and over time it became more than just survival. It became art, sport, discipline. Art, the size got even bigger. Fighting is art. For humans, yes, we have martial arts that are thousands of years old, passed down from teacher to student, refined over generations. The thanked them and hurried away, chattering excitedly to her friends. This is going to keep happening, said. Everyone wants to know about human fighting now. She was right. Over the next few days, more and more aliens approached the human students, asking questions, wanting to understand. Some were respectful, some were skeptical. A few were hostile as if victory had insulted them somehow. One who was neither hostile nor respectful was. She was a student, tall and gray-skinned with long fingers that never stopped moving. She belonged to a species called the archivists, known for their obsessive need to record and understand everything. Found in the library 3 days after the fight. I need to interview you, she said without greeting, for my research. Research on what? Human combat capability. Your victory has revealed a gap in our understanding, a significant gap. Sat down without being invited. I have been searching the archives. Do you know what I found? No. Almost nothing. Oh, we have records that humans practice combat training, but it is categorized as recreation, sport, cultural tradition. His fingers drummed on the table. No one realized it was real combat methodology. It is both, said. Recreation and combat. Humans like to fight for fun, but the techniques are real. Fun, repeated the word like it was alien. You fight for fun. Sometimes controlled fighting with rules and safety, boxing matches, wrestling tournaments, martial arts competitions. Millions of humans watch these events. His fingers moved faster, taking notes on her. How many fighting systems do humans have? I do not know exactly. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Different cultures develop different styles. Some focus on striking, some on grappling, some use weapons, some are empty-handed only. Give me examples. Thought Taekwondo from Korea, Karate from Japan, Kung from China, but that is actually many different styles. Thai from Thailand, boxing from Europe. Wrestling has versions from almost every human culture. Brazilian Judo, Sambo, Maga, Capoeira. She paused. I could keep going. Stared at her. That is excessive. Why would one species need so many fighting systems? Because we kept inventing them. Humans are creative. Someone develops a technique. Someone else finds a counter. A new style is born. It never stops. Over the following week, shared her findings with other students. The department got involved. Then military history professors. Soon, half the academy knew the truth that had been hiding in plain sight. Humans did not just practice fighting. They had weaponized their own bodies over thousands of years through pure technique, and they had done it so thoroughly that they did not even think it was special. Professor called to his office. When she arrived, 3 other professors were there too, military strategists, combat specialists. Sit said. He looked tired. We have a problem, cadet, a significant one. Sorry. We train warriors from every species at this academy. We teach combat theory, strategy, tactics, but we have been teaching humans wrong. He gestured to a holographic display. It showed training records. We teach humans to rely on weapons, to stay at range, to avoid close combat, because we assume they would lose any physical confrontation. One of the other professors, with energy claws, spoke up. But if your demonstration was accurate, that assumption is dangerous. A human soldier who loses their weapon is not helpless. They are still dangerous. More than dangerous, another professor added. She was massive and armored. I have been reviewing combat footage from human history, from Earth, before space travel. Your people fought wars with hand-to-hand combat. Soldiers trained specifically for fighting without weapons even when weapons were available. Yes, said. It was standard military training for most of human history. Why, asked. If you have weapons, why train to fight without them? Because weapons can be lost, broken, run out of ammunition. A soldier who can only fight with a gun is helpless when the gun is gone. But a soldier who can fight with anything, weapons or hands or improvised tools, is always dangerous. The professors looked at each other. We need to revise human combat training, said. But more than that, we need other species to understand what they face if they fight humans at close range. This is a strategic consideration. There is more, the professor said. She pulled up a video. It showed 2 humans in a ring fighting. No armor, no weapons. They punched and kicked and grappled. The crowd around them cheered. This is called mixed martial arts. It is a sport, entertainment. Humans pay to watch other humans fight. The fighters are not even warriors. They are athletes. This is common on Earth. Very common, confirmed. Many fighting sports are popular, boxing, wrestling. We have been doing this for thousands of years. Your species fights recreationally, said slowly. You practice violence for fun. This explains much. It is not violence, said carefully. It is controlled, respectful. We learn discipline and control through practice. Most martial artists never hurt anyone outside the training mat. but she could see the professors did not quite understand. To them, fighting was survival. Combat was life or death. The idea of fighting as sport, as art, as meditation, it was alien to them. The dean wants a formal presentation, said, about human combat arts, not just for cadets, for all faculty, for visiting military officers. You will organize it. Me, sir. You started this, cadet. You challenged my teaching. You were right to do so. Now you must educate us properly. Bowed her head. I will need help, other humans who can demonstrate different fighting styles. You will have whatever resources you need. As left the office, was waiting outside. He was a stocky human with calm eyes and calloused knuckles. I heard, he said, you need demonstrators. Yes, can you help? I trained in judo and Brazilian, grappling arts. Yes, I can help. They walked together toward the human dormitory. This is getting bigger than I expected, said quietly. Good, replied. It is time the galaxy understood. Humans might not have claws or venom or armor, but we are not prey, we never were. Behind them in the cafeteria and halls and training rooms, the academy buzzed with new understanding. The humans were not weak. They were not helpless. They were something else entirely, something the galaxy had never quite seen before. Predators who had made weapons from their own flesh and bone and will, and they had been hiding in plain sight all along. The grand auditorium was the largest space in the academy. It was normally used for graduation ceremonies and important speeches. Today, it was packed with over 2,000 beings from 50 different species. Cadets, professors, military officers, even diplomats who happened to be visiting. Everyone wanted to see the formal presentation on human combat arts. Stood backstage with the other humans who would be demonstrating. Wore a white uniform with a black belt. Had on a blue gi for grappling. There was also a new face, a martial arts master who had arrived from Earth just for this presentation. He was old, maybe 60, with gray in his hair and deep laugh lines around his eyes. But his body was still strong, and his movements were graceful. Nervous? Asked. A little, she admitted. Good, nervousness keeps you sharp, he smiled. Remember, we are not here to prove we are better than them. We are here to show them who we really are. The lights in the auditorium dimmed. Professor walked onto the stage. Distinguished guests, faculty, and students, what you will see today is not a show. It is not entertainment. It is education. We have made assumptions about humanity based on biology. Those assumptions were incomplete. Today, humans will demonstrate the truth. Stepped aside, walked onto the stage. Behind her, large screens showed her image so everyone could see clearly. My name is, she said. Her voice was amplified across the huge room. I am human. I have no claws, no venom, no armor, no natural weapons of any kind, but I have been training to fight since I was 5 years old. Not because I wanted to be a soldier, because it is part of my culture, part of being human. She gestured and joined her on stage. He will demonstrate grappling arts, the art of controlling an opponent without striking them. 2 volunteers came onto the stage. One was a large and powerful with energy claws. The other was a light professor with 4 arms and natural armor. In human martial arts, size and strength matter less than technique, explained. Watch. The approached confident. He was twice weight with muscles that could crush stone. He reached out to grab. Moved smoothly. He stepped to the side, grabbed this wrist and elbow and turned. Using this own momentum, he threw the massive alien over his hip. The hit the padded floor with a loud thump. Before he could react, was on top of him, one arm wrapped around this thick neck in a choke hold. This is called a rear naked choke in Brazilian, narrated. It cuts off blood flow to the brain. Size does not matter. The technique works on any species with a neck and blood vessels. Released thee and helped him up. The alien looked confused but respectful. The stepped forward next. I have 4 arms, he said, Advantage over two-armed opponents. Yes, agreed, but you have more limbs to control. They grappled. They tried to use all four arms to grab and hold. Stayed calm, controlling one limb at a time, using leverage and position. Within 30 seconds, there was face down on the mat with two of his arms locked behind his back. Judo and teach us that every advantage can become a disadvantage, said. More arms mean more joints to attack, more limbs to tangle. Technique beats strength. Bowed to his partners and left the stage, walked out next. I will demonstrate striking arts. A warrior stepped forward. The crowd murmured. Everyone remembered defeat, but this was a different, bigger, and older. She said, her blade arms gleamed. I will not hold back. I do not want you to, replied. They faced each other, attacked fast, her blade arms cutting through the air, moved like water, every strike missed by inches. He was not just dodging, he was controlling the distance, making her waste energy. Then he countered. His fist struck her shoulder joint, not hard enough to damage but precisely placed. Her blade arm dropped slightly. Another punch to her leg joint. Her stance weakened. A kick to her midsection pushed her back. Boxing teaches precision, explained. Every punch has purpose, not just power. You hit the right target at the right time. Demonstrated combinations. Jab, cross, hook. Each punch was quick and accurate, could not keep up. Her blade arms were dangerous but controlled the range. He was never where the blades were. Karate teaches us about focus, continued. All your power in one moment, one strike. Showed this. He stepped in close, too close for to swing properly, and delivered a single powerful strike to her chest plate. Even with her natural armor, she stumbled back, surprised by the force. Tai teaches us to use every part of the body as a weapon. Elbows, knees, shins. Demonstrated each. Close-range elbow strikes, knee attacks, low kicks that could break legs, all controlled, all precise, all effective. Bode, I understand now, she said. You are not weaponless, you are all weapon. The auditorium was silent, watching, learning. Walked onto the stage, old but graceful, he carried a training staff. Sometimes, he said, we do use weapons, but we train to transition, from weapon to empty hand, from armed to unarmed, because a warrior must be complete. He handed the staff to a volunteer, a large warrior. Attack me with this. Swung the staff, moved inside the swing, too close for the weapon to be effective. His hands grabbed the staff, twisted it from this grip, and in one smooth motion, he had disarmed his opponent and struck him in the chest with the staff's end. But now I lose the weapon, said. He threw the staff away. Does that make me helpless? The charged, thinking he had an advantage now, dropped low, swept his legs, and as the massive alien fell, his elbow found a pressure point on his shoulder. The went limp. Never helpless, said quietly. He helped the up. A weapon is a tool, useful but not necessary. A true warrior is dangerous because of what they know, not what they carry. Return to center stage. Human martial arts are not just about fighting. They teach us discipline, respect, control. We learn to fight so we understand violence. We practice so we can choose peace. The strongest warrior is not the one who fights the most. It is the one who can fight but chooses not to. Joined her. We have been refining these arts for thousands of years. Every generation adds something new. We never stop learning, never stop improving. This is the human way. We do not have claws, said, holding up her hands. But we have made our hands into weapons. We do not have venom, but we have made our knowledge dangerous. We do not have armor, but we have made our minds sharp. She looked out at the crowd, thousands of alien faces staring back. We are human, she said simply. We are born with nothing, so we made something from ourselves. The auditorium erupted into noise. Some species clicked or whistled or roared approval. Others sat in thoughtful silence. The professors looked at each other, minds clearly working through the implications. Then a voice cut through the noise, deep, powerful, angry. "Tricks," the voice said. "Clever tricks against willing partners, but not real combat." A admiral walked down the center aisle. He was massive, even for his species, 12 feet tall, with battle scars across his natural armor. Behind him walked another, younger but nearly as large. "I am Admiral," he said. "I have commanded fleets in 12 campaigns. I have fought in ground combat on 20 worlds, and I say these demonstrations prove nothing." He pointed at his companion. "This is an combat champion of the defense forces, undefeated in 300 matches, real matches, not demonstrations." And stepped forward. He looked at the humans on stage like they were insects. "Fight him," the admiral said. "Really fight. Show us if your techniques work against a true warrior, or admit that humans are prey playing at being predators." The challenge hung in the air. Looked at, the old master smiled slightly and stepped forward, but shook her head. "No," she said quietly. "This started with me, I will finish it." She walked to the edge of the stage, looking down at the massive warrior. "I accept," she said. The auditorium had been loud before, but now it was almost silent. Everyone understood what was happening. This was not a demonstration anymore. This was a real challenge, a human against a champion. The stage was too small. Professor quickly organized a move to the main combat arena. The crowd followed, thousands of beings flowing through corridors. Excitement and tension filled the air. Word was spreading. By the time everyone reached the arena, even more people were arriving. Students who had been in their rooms, staff who had been working. This was history happening. Stood in the center of the arena. The same place she had fought, but this was different, had been fast and skilled, and was a mountain, 12 feet of muscle, natural armor, and pure power. Approached. "You do not have to do this. I can fight in your place." "No," said. She was calm, her breathing was steady. "Thank you, master, but this is mine." "Then remember, size is just another problem to solve. You have faced big opponents before." "Never this big." "The principles do not change, just the scale," he smiled. "Make your grandmother proud." And stood at the edge of the arena, looking worried. Stood with them, calm as always. "She can do this, right?" asked. "Yes," said, but his voice was not as certain as his word. And entered the arena from the opposite side. Each step he took made the floor vibrate slightly. His hands could crush metal. His armor had stopped bullets. He had killed soldiers in real combat. This was not training. This was a warrior who had survived real war. Admiral's voice boomed across the arena. "Combat rules. No killing. No permanent damage. Otherwise, no restrictions. Fight until submission or incapacitation." Professor looked at both fighters. "Are you ready?" And nodded. He looked eager. Bowed slightly. "Ready." "Begin." And did not charge immediately. He was not stupid. He had seen the demonstrations. He knew humans were tricky. He moved forward slowly, carefully, hands up and ready. Circled, she looked tiny compared to him. She could have fit inside his chest cavity, but her eyes were sharp, watching every movement. And swung, not a wild swing but controlled. His fist came down like a hammer, slipped to the side. The fist hit the arena floor, making a loud boom. He swung again. Again was not there. "Stand still," and growled. He pressed forward, throwing combination punches. Each one could have broken in half. Each one missed. She moved like smoke, like water, always just beyond reach. But she could not just dodge forever. The arena had limits. Eventually, she would run out of space. And seemed to realize this. He started herding her toward the wall, cutting off her angles. Let herself be backed up, watching his pattern, learning his rhythm. Then she attacked. She ducked under a punch and closed the distance. Too close for him to hit effectively. Her fist struck his knee joint, not the armor on the front but the softer joint on the side, and grunted. It did not hurt much, but it surprised him. She struck again, same spot, then moved away before he could grab her. "Mosquito," he rumbled, "you bite but do no damage." "Not yet," replied. They engaged again and was adapting. He tried to grab instead of punch, grapple her, use his strength, but slipped away from every attempt. And every time she got close, she struck, always the same knee, building damage little by little. After 2 minutes of fighting, En's movements changed. Barely noticeable, but his left leg was not as stable. That knee was weakening. "I see it," she heard say from the sidelines. "Good patience." And saw it too. His eyes narrowed. He changed tactics, protecting that leg, putting more weight on the other. So changed targets. Now she went after his other knee. Strike and move, never staying still long enough for him to catch her. The crowd watched in amazement. This was not the quick victory against. This was a slow chess match, a war of attrition. The human could not hurt the with single strikes, so she was taking him apart piece by piece. 5 minutes into the fight, both of En's knees were damaged. He was slower. His stance was compromised, but he was still dangerous. One hit from him would end the fight. His breathing was heavy now. Dodging for 5 minutes straight was exhausting. Sweat dripped down her face, but her eyes were still sharp, still calculating. And charged, a last desperate attempt to end it with power, did not dodge away this time. She moved forward inside his reach. Her shoulder drove into his already weak knee. En's leg buckled. He dropped to one knee, trying to stay balanced. Was already moving. She jumped, using his bent knee as a step. Her leg kicked out, striking him in the side of his head. Not hard enough to cause damage through his armor, but enough to disorient him. As he swayed, she grabbed his arm. The leverage was impossible. She was too small. But she used his own weight against him. When he tried to stand, she pulled in the opposite direction, off balance with damaged knees, and fell. The arena floor shook with his weight. Moved instantly. She wrapped her legs around his neck from behind, arms controlling one of his. It was a modified rear naked choke, adjusted for anatomy. She was not trying to choke him. His neck was too thick, his armor too strong. But she was controlling his head, his position. And tried to stand. His damaged knees would not support him properly. He tried to grab her with his free arm. She shifted, keeping herself positioned where he could not reach. He tried to roll. She moved with him, maintaining control. Every movement he made, she countered. He was stronger, he was bigger, he was more durable. But she was in control. 30 seconds passed, and was breathing hard. His movements were getting weaker. He could not move without damaging himself more, could not escape without hurting his own joints further. "Yield," said quietly. "You fought well, but yield." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then En's free hand tapped the floor 3 times, the universal signal for submission. Released him immediately. She rolled away and stood up, wobbly from exhaustion, and lay on the floor for a moment. Then he slowly rose to his feet. His knees would heal, but his pride was damaged more than his body. He really looked at her. Then he bowed. It was clumsy, did not normally bow, but he did it. "I understand now," he said. His voice carried across the silent arena. "You are not prey, you never were." Admiral walked onto the arena floor. His face was hard to read, but when he spoke, his voice was respectful. "I came here to expose human weakness, to show that demonstrations are not reality." He looked at. "I was wrong, not about demonstrations, but about humans. Your species is dangerous specifically because you lack natural weapons. You had to become better, smarter, more technical. Nature did not give you claws, so you made yourselves into weapons." Professor joined them. "The combat evolution curriculum will be updated significantly. We have been teaching combat as if natural advantages are everything, but technique, training, and knowledge can overcome natural advantages. Humans prove this." The auditorium erupted in sound. Cheering, discussion, debate, different species processing what they had seen. Helped off the arena floor. Your grandmother would be very proud, he said. I want to call her, said. Tell her what happened. You should, but first rest. And rushed over, hugged so hard she almost fell over. That was insane, said. You fought a champion. I got lucky, said. No, said quietly. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You prepared your whole life. Today was just the opportunity. Over the next few days, everything changed. The Academy announced a new program. Human martial arts would be taught as an elective, not just to humans but to any species who wanted to learn. Professor personally requested that, and the other humans helped design the curriculum. The story spread beyond the Academy, to other military institutions, to news networks, to governments, the human who fought without weapons and won. But for the most important moment came 3 days later. She sat in her dorm room with her personal communicator. The holographic image of her grandmother appeared. She was old, with silver hair and kind eyes. She sat in the traditional training hall on New Colony. Grandmother said, I have something to tell you. She explained everything. The lecture, the challenge, the fights. Her grandmother listened quietly. When finished, her grandmother smiled. When you were 5 years old, you asked me why you had to learn to fight. Do you remember what I told you? You said the greatest weapon is the one I can never lose. Yes, your body, your mind, your spirit, these are always with you. Her grandmother's eyes were warm. You showed them, child. You showed the galaxy what humans really are, not prey, not weak, not helpless. We are survivors who became warriors. We are builders who became fighters. We had nothing, so we made everything. I could not have done it without your teaching. Yes, you could. I just showed you the path. You walked it yourself. Her grandmother bowed her head slightly. I am proud of you, not because you won, but because you stood up when everyone said humans were weak. You challenged that lie, and you proved the truth. After the call ended, sat quietly for a while. Through her window, she could see alien cadets walking to training. Some were practicing moves they had learned from the human demonstration, trying to use leverage instead of just blade strength, attempting grappling techniques. They were learning. The galaxy was learning. Humans were not prey. They never had been. They were predators who had forgotten their own nature until someone asked them to prove it, and had reminded them all. The Academy's motto had been strength through unity for 300 years. Now they added a second line, approved by the dean and voted on by the faculty. Strength through unity, wisdom through understanding, victory through adaptation. The last line was for humans, the species that adapted so well they turned their weakness into the deadliest weapon of all, themselves. Smiled. Tomorrow she would teach her first martial arts class. 20 alien students had signed up. They wanted to learn what she knew, how to fight without natural weapons, how to turn technique into power. She would teach them, not to make them human, but to show them what humans had always known. You do not need claws to be dangerous. You just need the will to never stop improving, to turn every disadvantage into a lesson, to make yourself into something more than nature intended. That was the human way. That was the truth. And now the galaxy knew it too.